Greetings, citizens. This is Jay punching in with a super bad head cold to let you know that what you're about to hear is a live recording of our first bad book party from this past weekend at Green Apple Books on the Park here in lovely San Francisco, California. Since this is a live episode, the quality may not be up to the standards that we keep here on I Don't Even Own a Television, but it's definitely listenable, and I hope you enjoy it. Warts and all, please ignore the part at the beginning where I get Lauren Parker's last name wrong. I'm still very embarrassed about that. And if this isn't to your liking, don't worry, because we'll be back in 2 weeks with another normal episode where we sit in a damn room and talk about a book, so there. Until then, please enjoy the live show. Thank you for listening. All right, folks. This is I Don't Even Own a Television. Woo! Bad book party numero uno. I was supposed to bring my guitar to do a sing-along, and Chris had promised a sing-along, and I forgot my guitar. But I am a man who takes responsibility seriously, so what we're going to do, once this thing stops freaking out, is I am going to generate a tone here, and then we're all going to sing together a cappella.
So listen through so you can get the words down. They're not complicated. No matter how many emails we get, they're not complicated. You can handle this.
All right. Okay. That's the song, everyone. There are books that are good. There are books that are bad. There's some books so fucking awful you wish you never had read them at all, 'cause a novel can ruin your life. 2, 3, hey buddy, I don't even own a television. Thank you. I don't even have to do it twice.
You guys are good.
I feel like a real singer now. I just realized I'm standing in front of a mic and holding a mic. Can I do this? It's like when you saw Ministry and he had the megaphone. Oh, cool, music reference. 1 minute and 30 seconds in.
And a timely Ministry reference at that.
I'm nothing if not hip and with it.
So now, since that was fun, I'm going to ruin everything and bring it down a little bit. I'm going to kind of smudge the room, get everybody prepared with a little invocation, if you will. So please be prepared. This, by the way, is completely something that I wrote. It's definitely not anything written on a famous statue or anything, so please do not have that in your heads. Not like the brazen books of old fame with splendid words scattered from page to page. Here, at our sea-washed inner sunset gates, shall stand a mighty podcast with some songs, whose rage is the imprisoned lightning, and its name, IDEO TV. Our beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Our mild eyes command the big-bridged bay that the Bay Area frames. Keep ancient books, your storied pomp, cry we with avid lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your shoddy stories yearning to breathe free, the wretched cliches of your teeming shore. Send these, the proseless, inept thoughts to me. We read bad books inside this golden store.
Woo! Yeah, so for those here unfamiliar with what we do, we do a podcast. Every 2 weeks we read something very bad, which can range from the novelty to the spy novel that Bill O'Reilly wrote. And then we talk about it, and we do some games. But what we're doing tonight is a bad book party, which is a little bit different in that the idea here is that we're just celebrating the fun of bad literature. And we brought along a lot of our friends. Woo! So we're going to introduce you to some people, and then we're just going to jump right into some badness. Yeah.
I think maybe we're just going to kill this microphone.
Yeah, if we need to, we'll figure it out. Hey, we're flying by ear.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you want to introduce some people?
Yeah, let's introduce some people. So just in case, just catch everybody up. That's J.W. Friedman.
Oh, yeah. I should have said that. Hey, this man right here, Chris Collision.
Thank you.
Ooh, can I say the thing?
Yeah?
We're the heavy metal bad boys of literature podcasting.
I did not know that was the thing that he was going to say.
That's always the thing I want to say.
Right on. Okay, but we brought some friends. So, without further ado, from another podcast specializing in the awfulest stuff written, the F Plus is its name. This is Lemon.
Lemon, thank you so much for coming out. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your show?
My show? My show is called The F Plus. It is terrible things read with enthusiasm, and I've just described it.
I've heard that you almost started a riot once at a live event.
Yeah, if you're familiar with a novelist by the name of Piers Anthony, he is morally bankrupt and destitute, we read live in front of people, in front of drunk people, a book endorsed by Piers Anthony. Do not read. Do not do that. Do not do that. Take my lesson.
Awesome. So Lemon is here. He's going to be reading, and we've got some more people. Up next, from the Muni Diaries podcast, we have Eugenia Chen. Thank you for being here as well. Do you want to tell people about what you do? Awesome.
All right. Hey everyone, I'm from Muni Diaries. Muni Diaries is a podcast, a live show, and a website where anyone who rides the bus can submit a story. So there's a lot of embarrassing, cringe things that you shouldn't do in public, but you have seen or participated or done. So I'm here because I have seen a lot of people read books on Muni, and I have some books that are too embarrassing to be read in public. So I was just really looking for a chance to do that. So.
Well, you are at the right place.
And from Sunday School Dropouts, yet another podcast, are our friends Lauren O'Neill and Niko.
Woo! So it's worth mentioning, before anything else, that Sunday School Dropouts is a podcast that specializes about our #1 most requested book from contrarian idiots on the internet. And what is that book?
That book is the Holy Bible.
Oh, yeah.
It's also worth knowing that the #1 contrarian idiot on the internet who really wants to do that book on the podcast is me. That is my #1 dream book. Number 2 is, of course, if we could ever get Barack Obama, I want to do the Constitution.
Man, you're 2 months late on that joke, dude. I think there's a new, more appropriate target for you. Cool. So, yeah. Thank you. And last but not least, we have Lauren Carter. Parker. Why did I do that? Sorry, I got confused. I thought you were JC's sister.
Yay!
Lauren hosts a bunch of podcasts.
I do. Namely Listener Beware, which is Goosebumps, which is about as good as the books I'm going to read tonight.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry, bro. I also write up and yell about feminism on the internet. Woo! I'm going to miss civilization, y'all.
All right, so we've got our rogues gallery in place, I believe. Now I think there is space for us both to sit down and not be in everyone's way.
Although, pretend this didn't happen.
Oh, that totally happened. Actually, my book is over there, though, my friend. We're so good at this. All right.
At live podcasting, everybody.
Stagecraft, for sure. We're pros. Don't try this at home. So one of the things we do on our show usually is a segment called Dramatic Readings. And the idea is that we're reading things that are bad and trying to make them sound very important and filled with gravitas. I don't want you guys to see the spine of my book. This needs to be a surprise. So what we're going to do here is all of us have brought something, and we're going to share it with you. Why don't we start down at your end and make our way through?
Sounds good. I need to run behind you again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For those who didn't hear the first part, that was a reaction to what Chris has selected to read. So,
I'm going to guess we're in a bookstore here. We're in a bookstore having a party about books. Hands up, everybody who considers themselves a reader. Okay, let the record show that's pretty much everybody.
Check out the big brains out here, man.
I'm also
Nerds.
See you by the flagpole at 3. I'm also going to guess that we probably have more than one person here who also likes to write. So hands up, everybody who fancies themselves a bit of a writer as well. All right, now if you like to write, it's my guess that you've probably fallen victim to a predatory scam called being taught how to write. Sometimes this is called college. And if you've done that, they've probably drilled something into you along the lines of hook them from the very, very, very first sentence. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Okay. I'm about to read the first sentence of a book that has sold more copies than probably any book sitting in this room right now. And that book is called Hannibal. It's by a guy named Thomas Harris, who I think probably lives in a gold-plated mansion. Clarice Starling's Mustang boomed up the entrance ramp at the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms on Massachusetts Avenue. A headquarters rented from the Reverend Sun Myung Moon in the interest of economy.
That's good stuff.
Riveting.
It's also good to know that Clarice Starling's car is Le Trim approved. She does, in fact, like the cars that go boom.
Okay, that's it. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, so I have been trying to get this on the podcast for a long time, and I've been shouted down, so you have to listen to it now. This is called Bitter is the New Black. This came out around the time when those memoirs were about nothing were very popular. Everybody remember 2005. It was a tough time. And so this is this person is named Jennifer Lancaster, and the extended, long, Fall Out Boy-esque title of this book is Confessions of a Condescending, Egomaniacal, Self-Centered Smartass, or Why You Should Never Carry a Prada Bag to the Unemployment Office. Very sympathetic. So I'm going to read a portion of a story in which the author writes about herself. Camille, go hug a dolphin or something, okay? I snap. God, I'm so sick of Camille's PC bullshit. What a pathetic little do-gooder she is. She's always picking up my Diet Dr. Pepper cans out of the trash to recycle. And she rides her bike to our office where she has a perfectly good car and a parking pass. Once she tried to turn me on to this meat-free lifestyle, and I told her to let me know when tofu started to taste like prime rib, because until then, I was all about the food chain. Anyway, normally when I see the residentially challenged, I cock a perfectly arched eyebrow at Camille, daring her to chime in. I hold my breath so I don't have to smell them. Also, I traipse past quite quick as possible, because really, their begging embarrasses us both. And I was about to do that again when I noticed that this guy was holding a gorgeous new briefcase. Correction, a gorgeous new Coach briefcase. Pausing for effect, I squeeze a lime wedge into my fresh drink before continuing. I thought to myself, if he doesn't have a home, chances are he doesn't have an office, so why does he need a briefcase? Especially one that perfectly matches my Coach station bag. Besides, this was not in any way endorsed by Coach. Besides, I was sure it was hot, and I knew if my bag was stolen, and I had no chance of getting it back, I wanted its new owner to cherish it, not use it as a pillow. I needed to rescue that buttery leather piece of magnificence and give it a loving home. 300 pages of that.
Wow.
She learns nothing and brags about it.
Yay.
Are you sure that's not sponsored by Coach? Because I think feel superior to the destitute with Coach is a great slogan.
I also brought Interview with a Vampire, which is terrible. I'm sorry. This is really, really bad. And I will not say that it's not sexy, but it has gorgeous sentences in it, like the following. I didn't remember Europe from my childhood, not even the voyage to America, really. That I had been born was an abstract idea, yet it had a hold over me that was as powerful as the hold France can have on a colonial. I spoke French, read French, remembered waiting for the reports of the revolution, and reading the Paris newspaper accounts of Napoleon's victories. I remember the anger I felt when he sold the colony of Louisiana to the United States. How long the mortal Frenchman lived in me, I don't know. He was gone by this time, really. But there was in me that great desire to see Europe and to know it, which comes not only from the reading of all the literature and the philosophy, but from the feeling of having been shaped by Europe more deeply and keenly than the rest of Americans. That was all one sentence.
Can we do a quick cover song of that? We were only freshmen, but with Frenchmen in there instead.
Man, that's a really long way to justify your Francophilia. I feel like somebody is an old soul.
Indigo child.
Yeah, an indigo child, if you will. Thank you, Lemon.
How are we on time?
Keep going. We got
Okay.
time.
All right. So this is actually my last bit, and it's just the inside cover of this book. I found this today. I was gonna read something else, but then this book is called Dinky Hawker Shoots Smack, so I had to have it. This came out in '72, and then was made into an after-school special in '79, and it was a bestseller. It is now out of print because I assume for the following reasons. Does heroin give you pimples? Tucker asked. All junk does. Junkies love sweets, Dinky said authoritatively. I never met a junkie who didn't verge on bulbous acne. How can you eat and talk about bulbous acne? Tucker said. I'm not finicky, Dinky answered. No, Dinky wasn't finicky. In fact, enveloped in her father's old clothes, she seemed unbothered by anything, neither by her reactionary boyfriend's antics in getting her to join Weight Watchers, nor by her mother's encounter groups at home for drug addicts in the community. In this brilliantly funny story about an irresponsible and yet sensitive girl, M.E. Kerr has given young people a novel that is at once hilarious and provocative.
That blurb is almost as good as the one on the Ben Stein book that we read once that was Joan Didion saying, eerily plausible.
And what the back review is, it's not simple or poignant. It's outrageous, irreverent, and impossible to put down, which feels like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah. All right, who here agrees that J.K. Rowling should have quit while she was ahead? Too soon? All right, Niko, what have you got for us?
Well, I got a couple books for you there, Chris. First one.
Well, that's great.
First one is a little-known piece of not great bookness called The Green Brain by a fellow named Frank Herbert. Ooh. Frank Herbert, more famous for Dune.
Yeah.
But of course, he had a career before that, writing.
No, this came before.
That's correct. Yes, this came before Dune. This was originally published in serials. It's not. Oh, that's eerie, isn't it?
It is. I can't tell if it's feedback or something coming from outside. It doesn't sound like it's coming from here. Let's just pretend it's a ghost and keep going.
I work better in the presence of ghosts anyways.
All right. Who brought the theremin?
Said there was a sing-along, I figured.
Somebody smuggled in a mad scientist.
Basic premise of the book is, in the far future, mankind has decided to wage war on nature itself by replacing all of the insects in the world with mutated versions of insects that better serve our needs.
I need this when you're done with it.
Yeah, it's high concept in a good way, like a lot of Frank Herbert is, but the details are really where it loses it, because it all takes place in Brazil, and he has sort of a questionable grasp of the difference between Portuguese and Spanish. There's also some classic, 60s, 70s sci-fi, very racism. Yeah, I think it's called racism.
Thank God science fiction knocked it off with that shit in the 60s, right?
But what I'd like to read for you from this is just a little bit of Herbert's prose. This is some of that amazing stories prose that you love so much. A fellow named João Martinho is speaking to his father. He says, João studied the toes of his boots, the polish glittering black. He found their unmarked surfaces somehow symbolic of his father's life. I'm sorry I've distressed you, father, he said. Sometimes I regret that I'm a bandeirante. A bandeirante is like a guy that hunts bugs. He's a bug hunter. But, he shrugged, without that, how could I have learned the things I've told you? João, his father's voice quavered, do you sit there and tell me you besmirched our honor? Did you swear a false oath when you formed your irmandades? That's not the way it was, father. Then how was it? Joao pulled a spray man's emblem from his breast pocket, fingered it. I believed it. Then, we could shape mutated bees to fill every gap in the insect ecology. It was a great crusade. This I believed. Like the people of China, I said, only the useful shall live. And I meant it. But that was quite a few years ago, Father. I've come to realize since that when we don't have complete understanding of what's useful. So, there you go.
That's like my favorite kind of bad book passage, because it's the thing that starts out and you're like, oh, this is pretty normal. I don't see what's going on here. And then gradually there's this slow like dawning of horror when you realize where it's going. And yeah, giant bees and racism. Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
No problem.
We got time, yeah, sure.
Okay. I'm also going to read a very brief passage from a book called Tokyo Vice. It's a
As recommended on an earlier episode.
That is true. I have recommended this book in the past, but I did say that I thought it was tawdry, and it was just very entertaining. So
yeah,
please bear in mind, I had a caveat, guys. I swear.
It's a very stylized memoir of a fellow who was one of the first Westerners to get admitted to the police press club in Tokyo, and he covered the crime beat and vice and everything like that. It's pretty interesting, but he treats himself basically like a noir hero. Everybody's always...
Hey man, you do you in your book.
Yeah. Everybody's always telling him how smart he is, how sexy he is, how cool he is. And he's just like, I'm just doing it to save people's lives, okay? In this case, he's got a girlfriend named Kimiko, who's a ex-lover of a Yakuza. Kimiko explained, Arai had bragged about the tapes to a Yakuza buddy who was a regular at her bar and who'd shown up one night in a talkative mood. I don't know what evidentiary value tapes like these would have, but it sounded pretty important. I have to tell Sekiguchi about this, I said, getting up from the bed. Right now? You have to tell him right now? Yes, this is important stuff. Suit yourself. Sekiguchi answered the phone, and I started to relate the tale of the tapes when Kimiko, because she was miffed and because she had a bizarre sense of humor, yanked my pants down and began filleting me. This made carrying on a conversation a little hard to concentrate on, and I started talking as fast as I could. Murders, body, Kimiko, me, you, lots of ellipses. If that's true, we have to pull in Arai right away. Good work, Jake. Anything else? No, I don't think so. Are you all right? You're talking real fast. I'm fine, a little tired. Okay, take care of yourself, he said, then hung up. I couldn't, however, because Kimiko's ministrations had been keeping me on the edge. 3 seconds later, I was over that edge. I collapsed on the bed with the phone still in my hand, wanting now to go to sleep, but Kimiko was having none of it. Honorable me, I knew I owed her. So I turned my beeper off for the first time in months.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
That is a gallant act. Am I right?
Yeah. Wow. So we've stumbled onto a recurring theme of the show. I have really bad taste, folks. Lauren.
Hi, I am Lauren, and I'm going to read to you from a book called I'd Tell You I Love You, But Then I'd Have to Kill You by Allie Carter, which is about a teenage girl who goes to a school, like a boarding school that's kind of like Hogwarts, but it's for teenage girl geniuses who are training to be super spies. And the plot of the book, I will read from the back, just one sentence, is, even though Cammy is fluent in 14 languages and capable of killing a man 7 different ways with her bare hands, she has no idea what to do when she meets an ordinary boy who thinks she is an ordinary girl. And I deeply love and deeply loathe this book because it sounds exactly like my 15-year-old diary. Except that I didn't go to Super Spice. Okay, so I'm going to read you just a little page here. Spy training isn't something you can turn off and on. We eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff. It has become as much a part of my DNA as lackluster hair and a weakness for peanut M&Ms. I know that probably goes without saying, but before I tell you what came next, I thought I'd better point it out. After all, imagine if you were a 15-year-old girl, standing alone on a deserted street on a dark night, preparing for a clandestine meeting when all of a sudden you can't see anything because a pair of hands are covering your eyes. 1 second you're standing there being grateful that you'd remembered to pack a candy bar, and then, pow, everything goes black. Well, that's what happened, but did I panic? No way. I did what I was trained to do. I grabbed the offending arm, shifted my weight, and used the force of my would-be attacker's momentum against him.
That's judo.
It was fast, really fast. Scary, these hands are lethal weapons fast. I am so good, I thought. right up until the point when I looked down and saw Josh lying at my feet, the wind knocked out of him. Josh is, of course, her ordinary boy crush. "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," I cried and reached down for him. "I'm so sorry. Are you all right? Please be all right." "Cammy?" he croaked. His voice sounded so weak, and I thought, this is it. I've killed the only man I could ever love, and now I'm about to hear his deathbed, parentheses, death street? Confession. I leaned close to him. My hair fell into his open mouth. He gagged. So, ... yeah, ... On my first pseudo date, I not only physically assaulted my potential soulmate, I also made him gag. Literally.
Lauren, no offense, but your diary sucks.
No, dude. It's like a source of great shame when I...
How many ways do you know how to kill a man, though?
I mean, I only know like 2 or 3.
Okay.
But,
That's good.
my second book, you've heard of 4 non-blondes. Now get ready for 4 blondes.
I really wish that were 4 non-blondes.
It is by Candace Bushnell, better known for writing Sex in the City. And, let's see. I'm going to read to you about a woman named Janie who is obsessed with summering in the Hamptons, and she just finds these different rich men that she can date for the summer so she can live in their summer houses in the Hamptons.
Sexy.
And this one is her favorite. This is the nicest person. This is the person who treats her the nicest of all these terrible people, including her. "Harold's on the crapper," Janie said. She had a soft, girlish voice, and despite her stunning face and figure, she knew her voice was really her secret weapon. It allowed her to say anything and get away with it. "He spends an hour on the crapper every evening before he goes out, and on weekends, an hour in the morning and an hour in the late afternoon. It really cuts into the day. Last weekend, we basically missed a book party because he wouldn't get off the can."
Did that happen to anyone here?
"What does he do in there?" Allison asked. Janie shrugged. "I don't know. Shits. Reads. Although, how it can take a person an hour to shit, I don't know. I keep telling him it's not good for his intestines. It's probably the only time he can get away from everything." "Oh no," Janie said. "He has a phone and email in there." She looked at Allison. "Forget I said that, okay?" She could just imagine Allison going around to dinners telling people that Harold Vane spent an hour on the crapper while he talked on the phone and sent emails, and it made her feel guilty. After all, Harold had never done or said anything even remotely unpleasant to her, and she was actually a little bit in love with him. That was the surprising thing about Harold. She couldn't bring herself to have sex with him at first, but after they'd finally done it, the second Saturday after Memorial Day, she'd wondered why she'd waited so long. Harold was commanding in bed. He told her what he wanted her to do and how to position herself. Parentheses, later on in the summer, he shaved off all her pubic hair and told her to sunbathe naked. And he had a huge penis.
Oh, damn!
His unmentionable was so large, in fact.
You just mentioned it.
I know. He had a huge penis, his unmentionable. It was so large, in fact, that all during that summer, when other women came up to her to ask if it was true she was really dating Harold, this seemed to happen most in the ladies' room at the various trendy Hamptons restaurants they frequented, Janie would roll up her lipstick and confidentially say that his willy was so enormous, the first time she saw it, she told him there was no way he was going to put that thing in her. Then she would go back to lipsticking her open mouth. It might have been a little off color to talk about Howard's willy, but on the other hand, Janie felt she was doing him a favor. When she broke up with him, it would make it easier for him to get other women.
Wow.
What a hero.
I just want to talk about the cause and effect earlier, where it's like he spends an hour shitting. That's bad for your intestine. I think those are switched.
I want to shout out to Candace Bushnell for putting the mentionable in unmentionable.
So rolling down the line here, Eugenia.
Okay, guys, so before I go into reading this book, I just want to say I had to read this book in public on Muni, and here it is. It's Fabio, if you guys remember the 80s and 90s at all, you might remember him from I Can't Believe It's Not Butter and other...
Getting hit in the face by a geese or a goose.
That too. But what I didn't know was that Fabio actually has 6 books that he co-wrote with a woman named Eugenia Riley, no relation to me. And those of you who aren't super sure what he looks like in this book, it includes a full-colored fold-out of, I don't know what he's wearing here, not much. Loincloth, yes. So
That's a spicy meatball.
both of them.
So,
Right.
is it me or are all these books like obviously taking place in the same universe, right? Like the high school student was flipping the guy who like wanted to remake Bugs. The 4 Non-Blondes lady was dating fucking Fabio. It's fairly clear.
Yeah, possibly. That's a great fan theory, Colin.
So, the premise of this book, as I understand, is very similar to all the other Fabio novels, which incidentally, there's no one else who's ever on these covers. It's always just him. So this takes place in 1821 in South Carolina. And Fabio, aka Ryder Remington.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna need that one more time.
So Ryder Remington is in. Yes. You're welcome. So he's in South Carolina. He's actually of English nobility. He's trying to escape his roots, obviously, and he's in this tavern. In the scene that I'm about to read you, our female main character, Natalie, who is pretending to be a barmaid at the tavern, this is the first time she sees Fabio and his friends. So here we go. Arriving at their table, Natalie quickly sized up each man. Her gaze was at once seized by the largest and most handsome one there. Now, isn't he fine? Her woman's vanity forced her to concede. Even seated as he was, she could tell that this man was a giant. The size of the sun-browned, beautifully shaped hand gripping his tankard was proof enough of that. A glimpse of a gold ring on one of his long fingers affirmed that her guess about his being English nobility was correct. With coal-black hair that hung wickedly around his shoulders, eyes as bright and blue as the ocean on a fine spring day, and a deeply tanned, aristocratic face, with the long straight nose, high cheekbones, a firm mouth, and a strong chin. His face could have graced a general or even a king. His shoulders were broad and powerful, his flowing white shirt, here it is, half open, giving her a provocative glimpse of a smooth, bronzed, splendidly muscled chest. Regarding her so steadily, he had about him the air of a man who easily conquered women and was well aware of his own mastery. Indeed, the very sight of this rogue shot a shiver through Natalie. She sensed his raw virility. She can't let him see that she was a novice playing a dangerous game tonight. Oh, no. And totally out of her element. Do you guys, how are you doing on time?
We have time for more Fabio, for sure.
What happens after?
Yeah.
Right, do you guys want to know what happens after Natalie meets Fabio? Okay,
Is she gonna end up with this roguish gentleman?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll tell you. Here's what happens. So Natalie is trying to gather herself. She walks up to Fabio's friends and she wags her fingers at them and she goes, "You guys are up to no good." And then this is what happens. The giant, unexpectedly, grabbed her around the waist and pulled her down onto his lap. Her pitcher crashed onto the floor as his large, strong hand gripped her chin and his splendid, scowling face descended toward hers. For a moment, she was too caught off guard even to protest. She felt riveted to the spot as his strength, his scent, his heat tugged at her senses. His vibrant, burning gaze held her, and for the first time that night, the giant spoke up in an incredibly deep, sexy voice.
Hi, I'm Fabio.
What I'm up to, wench, you shall find very good. A man of few words, but good ones at that, Natalie thought.
You know, not enough books actually pause in the middle to be like, damn, these are good words.
You know, it's worth it. She did not at first hear the cheers erupting behind her, for she was too mesmerized by the heat of Ryder Remington's mouth, as his lips boldly engulfed hers, clamming, possessing, mastering her own. She reeled at his audacious assault, her mind galloping in fright, and she realized too late that she had clearly underestimated this man. In the days since she has started working at the tavern, several of the customers had brashly smacked her mouth, yet their sloppy pecks seemed nothing compared with this ravishment by fire. Thank you.
Wow. You know, halfway through that, I was like, when she's done, I'm going to ask if the word winch appears in this book. And I was, blammo!
There it was.
Yep. All right, so
Enjoy following that, Lemon.
Yeah, no, I wanted to. I don't want to bring the room down, but I need to talk very briefly about something that happened in 2016 that changed the face of the world. It brought a little bit of joy out of the world, I think, with a change of power. I'm talking about Tyra Banks no longer being on America's Next Top Model. They replaced her with an inferior model, and that's why I want to present to you Tyra Banks' Model Land. It is a 550-page young adult novel.
and just a peek behind the curtain, this legitimately is one of the most requested books for us, and we've been this close to doing it so many times, and I had no idea it was 560 pages. And I'm so glad we've dodged that bullet consistently.
It is.
The noise you're hearing is it falling off the possibles list due to length.
I'm so glad to jump in front of that bullet for you guys. You're welcome.
No problem.
So it's the story. The plot is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Chocolate Factory is modeling. The setting, of course, Hunger Games. We know that. But the characters are Welcome to the Dollhouse. There's a sort of a small girl named Tookie, which meant that I always read it as Tookie, and she has Tookie de la Creme. Her mother's name is Creamy de la Creme, and her father's name is Chris.
No relation.
No relation.
It's
allegedly.
Chris of the Cream.
I'm starting to think this might be a bit of a stylized affair.
Yeah, earlier, before we got here, Lemon was telling me that it's magical realism, so get ready for some Garcia Marquez quality writing from Tyra Banks. Let's roll.
Absolutely. So this is called Welcome to TDOD. TDOD stands for the Day of Decision. Can you smell it, feel it, taste it? Oh, I can. And it tastes, so sweet. And the sound, deafening.
Okay, wait.
The sound is deafening.
No, that is the lyrics to Epic by Faith No More.
You want it all, but you can't taste it.
Also, is this a character talking, or is this the narrator? Or both?
If I may continue.
Sorry, Lemon.
By all means.
Think about the loudest, most riotous crowd you've ever been in and quadruple it. Then multiply that by the power of 10. That is the day of discovery. And yes, my darling, that delightful day has arrived. The whole world is flooding to Metopia to see the delectable spectacle unfold. It takes place all over the planet, of course, on the sexy beaches of Terra Bossa Nova, on the strip of Strip Town, round the Taj Mahal Gardens in Chakra. But there's nowhere like Metopia for the most authentic experience. Model Land is right there, after all. At the top of Metopia's highest peak, everyone wants to see the scouts' first descent from the mountain and their final flight back into the land. Their capacious carriages full of new recruits. But some visitors don't trek from the corner of the globe to see the scouts' initial descent. Some come to experience something else. The aftermath. The madness that affects the forsaken, the rejected, the unchosen, and the denied. All once discovery after parties have ended. There's always some rejected candidates who cannot accept Model Land's decision. They are so sure they deserve a spot in the new class, so convinced that they have been a terrible mistake, that they embark on a pilgrimage up the diabolical divide in hopes that Model Land will see firsthand the grave oversight that has been committed. These intrepid females, the pilgrims as they are called, have tunnel vision so laser focused that no one can convince them they're mistaken. People call this debilitating illness the plague. The first telltale symptoms are profuse sweating, massive headaches, and bulging veins. The plague is worse than the one you might already be familiar with. The B one. Bubonic, that is. You're welcome, reader.
Wow.
I'm sorry, do you need to know what the bubonic plague is? Because the plague that induces seizures, fevers, chills, gland swelling, and upchucking of blood, and the decomposition of skin while one is still alive. But I will take the bubonic plague any day. For if it's caught in time, it can be ousted from the body with a simple swallow of one of two mycins, Genta or Strepto. The pilgrim plague, however, is terminal, darling. And I am not referring to an airline departure lounge.
Shut up!
That's the best joke I've heard all night.
And if I may just skip over to this section.
Okay.
Please do.
This section, which I have here on index cards, I have titled, Some Names of People, Places, and Things in Model Land.
Awesome.
So there's a product called CL, that is spelled capital C, lowercase I, tilde L. Then there's 7-7, the stunning statuesque strobotropic stars with stupefying stratospheric struts. You can get some Jerk perfume, that is owned by Jeremy Jerk. Perfecta Fecta. Metopia we've already covered, but we haven't covered Pitter Patter, nor the character named Shiraz. There's some characters that are lovely, who are the Intoxibellas. Tookie here is really into a guy whose name is Theophilus Lovelaces, and his girlfriend is named Zarpessa. Tookie's father is frequently drunk on tater mash, which is a liquor imported from Kremlingrad. Kremlingrad is not located near the Ladorna quadrant. There is a character who is unnamed, but he wears wingtips, and therefore is given the code name of Wingtip. And then I need to introduce you to some of the belladonnas. These are the fancy, the terrific supermodels. There's Evangelina, and they all have superpowers. So Evangelina has the power of chameleon, which means that she can...
Kimmy the chameleon in my spine.
Excellent, terrific.
The shared universe theory continues to bear fruit.
It does, it absolutely does.
Guess what? We're all inside a snow globe.
It's like that terrible episode of Black Mirror. There's Bev Joe, who has the power of 30 Never. Then there's Lee Mora, who has the power of Excite to Buy. Excite to Buy causes Tookie to want to buy some Chevaux Mall. There's another character named Kachucha, who has the power of Six Sensa, which is why you know what fashion trends will be in the future. We have covered, of course, the Strip of Striptown and the Taj Gardens of Chakra, but I need to tell you about the mayor of Metopia, whose name is Devin Rump the Sixth.
Congratulations, you've just made me furious.
Model Land, 550 pages of that. Woo!
All right, so, wow. This is going to be hard. I brought nonfiction, so probably not as exciting as the stuff we just talked about, but I think a lot of people who listen to the show know I'm a tireless advocate for the mentally ill. And I've been dealing with that myself most of my life. And so when I heard about a book entitled How to Goodbye Depression If You Constrict Anus 100 Times Every Day, Malarkey or Effective Way by Hiroyuki Nishigaki. I knew I had to read this. So what this book is, for the most part, is a series of forum posts that have been copy and pasted into a book, including very, very intense arguments that our author has with people who doubt it. So I'm going to read his rebuttal to someone. P.S. This book is, it's very well titled. It's exactly what you think it is. It's about how doing ass kegels will help solve your depression. Okay, so here is our author responding to someone who made a smart remark on the internet. Have you still made fun of me, or a little serious question? I have not such a video or half-hour infomercial. I don't know what he's referring to because that context is not included, but don't worry, it gets good. But, owing to your question, I have thought of one idea. Some people and I will gather and make such a video a year later if some people try to constrict anus 100 times, indent navel 100 times every day. In addition, drink a cup of water as soon as get up and do bowel movement 6 times every day. Begin to be able to have peculiar happy-lucky, good complexion, good bowel movement, good appetite, good sex, good sleeping, soft shoulders. Little by little, in a month or a few months, begin to confirm the effect, and you can graduate from the University of Depression a year later without failing the test, which may result in misery such as suicide, cancer, or entering the mental hospital. Furthermore, some people and I will found a club, such as Anus 100 Club. Then we will make such a video in which all of us perform and talk about overcoming depression. By the way, this is probably illegal. That's an editorial note. We will give such a video for free to someone who is suffering from big anxiety and depression. We may be on the air. I got news for you, hero. I don't think that's going to happen. Tune into the Anus 100 Hour this Saturday at 11. I think God deals with us fairly. We can not only have good luck and cannot have only misfortune. Good luck and misfortune are apt to happen to us every 3 to 5 years, at most 10 years in turn. Those who begun to be proud and look down upon each other are apt to ruin in 3 to 5 years, at most 10 years. I'm going to jump a little bit ahead here. Because, this book is the same thing over and over again for, a lot of pages. And I believe it is, yes. I'm judging just by the grammar. I think it's self-published and self-edited. Throughout this book, he talks a lot about shooting out your immaterial fiber, which I can't tell if he's talking about projecting astrally or if he's talking about masturbating. And it's a little weird, but let's go here. Now you can understand shooting out your immaterial fiber or third attention to the object that you like from your body, and succeeding in concentrating on it is the medicine for you. It can give you joy, pleasure, and mercy too. It is the way to cure or prevent depression, the way to become happy, healthy, efficient, which is hyphenated a la Dr. Bronner's soap label. That's how you know you're dealing with a genius mind. The way to succeed in concentrating on something, the way to hunt power, happy, lucky feeling, and inspiration. It is the sentence of the book that was written in Chinese 2,000 years ago by the prince of the big country just above Iran. He translated the teaching of Buddha into Chinese, explained it, and wrote the book. It was very difficult for me to understand his book at the beginning 10 years ago, but comfortable body response happened to me. The core of my abdomen turned very hot, and I felt as if all my body was burning when reading his book. I had been staring at his book, shooting out my immaterial fiber, like seriously, right? And concentrating on it every day since then, as if I were solving a complicated puzzle. It took me 3 years to translate his book into Japanese, explain it, and write the book with the title, How to Concentrate on Your Breath and Stop It Automatically. So what we're going to do now, other than ass kegels,
we're gonna kind of work through some of the deeper lessons.
I brought my video camera. Welcome to the Anus 100 Club.
Remember, it will be airing on Saturday night at 11. No, we're gonna take a very quick break, no more than 5 minutes. As promised, we're gonna have a little bit of audience participation. If you've got books, bring them to me, and we will divvy them out. And yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So we'll be back in a few minutes. If you've got materials, bring them forward.
Bring them.
Cool.
But it does have to be a very short break because we are up against time. right, welcome back. Thanks for...
Pop another one for the working man. Can I get
That
yeah.
that was pretty good. I think you guys can do better. I'm sorry, I don't get to do this that often. Thank you for coming back so fast. Thank you for making it such a short break, and thank you so much for bringing what looks like a real treasure trove. I'm a little intimidated by what y'all brought, so we're gonna get it kicked off with something that is extremely on brand for our own J.W. Friedman.
Yes. First of all, thank you to the gentleman who brought this in because, man, I'm so stoked to be reading from The Elaborate Entrance of Chad Deity, which is a book about a luchador, a Mexican wrestler. And for those not following at home, I love the wrestling. Okay. Oh, wow. Is this a play?
It is a play.
Oh.
It's in fact a Pulitzer Award finalist play, which means it's a good play but a bad book to read.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out where to stop here. Here we go. Okay, so this is two characters having a conversation. This is Chad Deity, our hero, and Mace.
Our actual hero.
Oh, okay. I just assumed his name's on the front, you know. Okay, so Mace. It is teamwork, brother. Even if I'm the only one on the team doing the work, yeah. And that, ladies and gentlemen, not the storylines, not the competition, not the dazzling physiques, or the pretty colors, or the entrance of Chad Deity is the reason that professional wrestling is the most uniquely profound artistic expression of the ideals of the United States. Yeah, freak out. Okay, here's Chad Deity. In wrestling, you can't kick a guy's ass without the help of the guy whose ass you're kicking. Bing! People love the power bomb, yeah. They love the power, the beauty, the implausibility of it, brother. People know that the power bomb requires me and the champ to unite to make it look like he's murdering me, when in actuality, I'm doing what I can to make him look like the all-world fighting machine he's made out to be. And he's doing what he can with his limited capacity to make sure I don't break my neck. And so, at the bottom of what we're doing, is we're both trying to ensure that neither one of us gets hurt. The fact is powerful and beautiful, yeah. And, like I said, one of the most profound expressions of the ideals of this nation. Holy shit, Borges, what? So, thank you so much. I just wanted to say that the author of this book, Christopher Diaz, is fully exposing the business.
For those of you who aren't wrestling fans, that's bad. Because exposing the business means people might learn that wrestling's not as real.
Hey.
It's real to me, damn it.
Kayfabe, brother.
Anyway, I'll probably get waylaid in the streets on the way out of here for daring to say what I just said. So, without further ado, Lemon, by special request.
Yeah, this was a book flown to us from Seattle, so thanks
Seriously. Wow.
for this. I'm not going to tell you what this is, because you'll figure it out. I screamed over and over. My hands were fluttering uselessly in the air, trembling more and more with each scream. I heard a crash behind me, but I couldn't be concerned. Then, big hands grabbed me and moved me, and a big body between me and what I'd seen on the kitchen floor.
Oh, the suspense.
Page turning. I couldn't recognize Bill, but he picked me up and moved me to the living room where I couldn't see anymore. Suki!
Oh, is this the Sookie Stackhouse? Oh no!
Yeah, just because you're a bad book doesn't mean Alan Ball won't read it. Suki! He said harshly. Shut up! This isn't any good. If he'd been kind to me, I'd kept on streaking. Sorry, I said, still out of my mind. Oh wait, now I get to do the Anna Paquin accent. I am acting like that boy. He stared at me blankly. The one in your story. Oh, that was her. I said numbly, we have to call the police. Sure. We have to dial the phone. Okay, it goes 9. Okay. We have to dial the phone. Wait, how did you come here? Your grandmother gave me a ride home, but I insisted on coming with her first and helping her unload the car. So why are you still here? I was waiting for you. So, did you see who killed her? No, I went home across the cemetery to change. He was wearing blue jeans and a Grateful Dead t-shirt. For some reason, I started to giggle.
I know why. It was the Grateful Dead t-shirt.
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough of that
Wow. You know, for the longest time, that song that goes "Silky, Silky Now," I thought they were saying "Silky, Silky Now," and yeah, that's what I thought of every time you said "Silky." So thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Eugenia.
All right, this is UFOs in Wartime. What They Didn't Want You to Know by Mac Maloney. And, tagline, shocking accounts of UFOs observed during times of conflict. Here we go. The Allies had invaded Italy in September 1943. Their first assault on Hitler's fortress Europe coming 9 months before the D-Day landings in France. The Italian campaign had been a tough slog, however, as the Germans fought a brilliant defensive withdrawal, giving ground to the Allies only 1 inch at a time. By June 1944, though, the Allied lines were well north of Rome, and approximately half of Italy was under their control. One morning, near the battle lines close to Lerida, Italy, an egg-shaped object suddenly appeared in the sky. It was described as metallic and glistening, and reportedly went into a motionless hover over the front. Allied anti-aircraft batteries opened up on it right away. But then something even stranger happened. Nearby German batteries began shooting at it as well. After a while, the Allied guns stopped firing because their shells were having no effect on the object. But the German gunners continued to pound away at it, even though it was unaffected by their AA fire too. Eventually, the Germans ceased firing as well. The object stayed hanging in midair for a short while longer, then rocketed off at high speed and was gone.
Yeah.
Fake news. This is fake news. Sad.
Until it vanished, I was pretty sure that they were all just like, fuck the moon, kill it.
I'd like to thank the author of this book, Jesse Ventura.
Eerily plausible.
Yeah, Joe Dinian says that was eerily plausible.
I have a book called Old Earth by Gary Grossman. Or Grossman. And the person who brought this put in a post-it note saying that this is the ancient conspiracy that must be maintained at all costs, lasting centuries. And it's explained by a man identified here only as Gruber. Considering what you have likely seen here, your own exploration as well, and your association with a recently departed Galileo scholar, I'd say your emerging conclusions and my avowed duty are in direct conflict. You seek a different truth than I do, Gruber explained. You may call it reality. I would argue that you know nothing of what is really real. However, you both have surprised me. You've traveled far in your quest, perhaps farther than I believed possible. However, no matter what you might think you saw, would you be prepared to live with the knowledge that your discovery could become the catalyst for sweeping revolutions? That you, Dr. Macaulay and Dr. Alpert, would cause a rise in fanaticism on a scale the world has never known? I've ordered deaths to keep the secrets. What I've done would not compare to the devastation that you would cause.
And I've ordered nachos.
I was given a book by Robert Jordan called Knife of Dreams.
Oh, Robert Jordan.
Proudly proclaiming this book 11 of the Wheel of Time series. So that's the mark of quality.
And that's a cinder block of a book right there.
Oh yeah, this is good.
No, Robert Jordan is like, what if George R. Martin was more long-winded and less interesting? Anyway, Wheel of Time, woo! There's magic.
He played his stone, but he was so shaken that the colors whirled and faded without forming any image. In fact, he was barely able to eke out a draw from what had seemed a clear winning position. You played very poorly towards the end, Tuan murmured, frowning thoughtfully at the board, now divided evenly between the control of black stones and white. He could all but see her starting to work out what they had been talking about when his poor play began. Talking with her was like walking a crumbling ledge across the face of a cliff. One misstep and Matt Kuthon would be as dead as last year's mutton. Only he had to walk that ledge. He had no bloody choice. Oh, he enjoyed it. In a way, period. The longer he spent with her, the more opportunity to memorize that heart-shaped face, to get it down so he could see her just by closing his eyes. But there was always that misstep waiting ahead. He could almost see that, too. One more.
Turn the page to see what else he could almost see.
For several days after giving her the little bunch of silk flowers, he brought her no presents, and he thought he was beginning to detect hints of disappointment when he appeared empty-handed. Then, 4 days out of Jurador, just as the sun was peeking over the horizon into a nearly cloudless sky, he got her and Seleucia out of the purple wagon. He just wanted Tuon, but Seleucia might as well have been her shadow when it came to trying to separate them. He had commented on that once, making a joke, and both women went on talking as if he had not spoken.
Wow.
All right. New contest. Anybody who can email the show and tell me what the fuck just happened?
Okay. So, Matt...
Email.
All right. I'll work on that later.
Okay, so spoiler, it's my birthday. And because it's my birthday, I get to read original work by an audience member, by Rachel, fake last name. And this little beauty is a written when I was 13, posted on a poorly coded message board. So there was some detective work to hunt this sucker down. And it comes with a warning, so I just want you all to know. Warning, this part contains some ellipses, iffy stuff. So it's not for kids under 12, I guess.
I'm so glad my mom is now browsing books at the front of the store.
All right. Okay. So this is a Legend of Zelda fanfic.
In a way, hasn't all of this been Legend of Zelda?
All right. It's gonna get steamy. I'm trying to get my voice all buttery. In the middle of the night, I heard strange giggling from Link's room. The giggling turned to moaning and sounds of pleasure. I got out of bed and walked to it. The door was slightly cracked open, and I looked in. What I saw struck a jolt of panic in my heart. Link and Zelda, ellipses. Were in bed, ellipses. Doing, ellipses. Things to exclamation points. I ran back to my room and into my bed. I felt like throwing up. I didn't wake up till Link came into my room and woke me up. He was acting like nothing had happened. We left soon after to Lake Hylia? Hylia.
I know where that is.
It's near Tahoe. The next night, we made a fire and sat around it. Link and Zelda were gossiping cheerfully, and I was silent. They say you can see a person's soul if you look at their eyes. I looked at Link's eyes. They were full of happiness and joy. I turned my attention to Zelda's eyes. There was nothing. Nothing at all.
I did not see that coming.
It was if she had no soul at all. Ellipses. Wait! That's what was different about her. This wasn't Zelda. I'm gonna leave you on that cliffhanger. Please rate and review. Thank you. Part 4 forthcoming.
Fuck.
Happy birthday to me.
That's some iffy stuff.
All right, so this is a little thing called Computers and the Imagination, which is only partially written by a person. So I'm going to read you a tiny bit of what was called out to read, which I think is sort of, I feel like most of this book is a manifesto, and then I'm going to follow up with something. So, language is the primary medium with which we think and communicate ideas to others. This is page 321. When one reads language in a written form, one is really decoding symbols. It is through the interactions of such symbols that we create new worlds, new images, new thoughts. For a long time, I have held a fascination with colorful symbols and words. Words are meant to be petted and stroked. They are meant to allow us to transcend space and time and to inspire visions. This reference section is directed to a wide audience and intended to have a range of applications. Arranged for quick, easy reference, it contains over 1,000 descriptive phrases, commonly known as tags. Those short, one-line descriptions which make the difference between a cold, factual fictional work and an inspired, pulsating story.
Yep, you got a handle on that one, buddy.
Here's how. Without tags. The bird flew toward the sun. With tags.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
With wings spread and motionless, a solitary seabird glided toward the shattered crimson disk of the sun.
I'm gonna need to workshop that one. There's not enough adverbs.
And there's a couple of pages of computer-generated poetry. So not only did he write a manifesto, he sat down, whipped up what I assume is a Python script, and had his computer bang some stuff out. So I'm just going to keyword by acclamation. I'll read 2 poems based on your vote. So let me run through, and then you can. Okay. Do you want to hear about a sapphire, a wizard, a centipede, an avocado, a quivering bone, or a sexy cloud?
Quivering bone.
Quivering bone. Avocado. Avocado.
Sexy cloud.
I'm going to read 2 of them. Lauren's correct. We're going to start with the avocado. For fuck's sake, come on. A half-dead avocado is the title of this poem, written by a computer.
Bless.
A half-dead avocado oozes while puffing the fairy-like ocean. In a frenzy, the avocado grasps. The ocean breathes while dreaming about a frigid diamond.
I love Modest Mouse.
Somewhere Aesop Rock is crying. Sorry, what was the other one you guys? Sexy Cloud? All right, it's important to build a coalition. I'm going to read them both.
Yes!
Okay.
Peacemaker.
A sexy cloud collapses while smoking the moldy soul. Heavily, the cloud frowns. The soul evaporates behind a chocolate mouth.
Turns out, maybe computers aren't so great at poetry.
What does it mean? What was his new album?
It means this computer has a very different idea of sexy than I do. Ooh, frowning.
Yeah, Jim Morrison's
At a mouse.
is really complicated.
All right, and let's close things out with a quivering bone, shall we? A quivering bone chews while touching the golden intestine. With a terrible shudder, the bone regurgitates.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
The intestine yawns close to a sexy ellipse.
Hey, that was sexier than the cloud.
That was. Okay, and now one last bit of audience participation, and there's going to be a prize.
Yeah.
So, who, by acclamation, who provided the best thing to read? Let's go back. Let's go down, or stop and think about it, and then we'll go back down.
Yeah, we're gonna do this.
We'll do this by applause.
Yeah, so just make some noise when
Yeah.
we get to the one that is your favorite, and the winner is gonna get a $50 gift card to this very establishment.
Boom.
So, all right. So I guess we'll start off.
Yep.
With what I read here, which was Jack with the elaborate entrance of Chad Deity.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Thank you.
I had Nif, and I have Suki.
All right, let's give it up for UFOs in wartime. What they didn't want you to know.
Denver International Airport.
Yeah.
I had an extremely vague conspiracy by Gary Grossman.
I had Robert Jordan's 11th best book, Knife of Dreams.
I had the iffy fornications of Link and Zelda with no soul. That's right.
I don't even know why I'm bothering. I had computers in the imagination.
Okay, so I think it's pretty clear here.
Yeah.
You guys like to hear about video game characters doing nasty. But yeah, so that's awesome because it actually, your bravery was rewarded.
Yeah.
By daring to bring in something you wrote yourself, you have emerged the champion. Much like Chad Deity.
But thank you so much for everybody who brought something. Thank you so much for everybody who came out. Thank you so much for Casey for helping us out with the sound. Thank you so much to Green Apple Books for hosting this.
One more thing. Thank you to all of our wonderful guests. Let's hear it one more time for them. So until next time, I'm J.W. Friedman.
And I am Chris Collision.
This was I Don't Even Own a Television. What should these fine folks do?
Ride the crab.
Sell your bed.